beautiful car is the 296 GTB Assetto Fiorano, including this amazing stripe, and this color is Rosso Imola. So you might be wondering, why is this called the 296? Because it's got a 2.9 litre V6, and this is Ferrari's first V6 engine. There was the Ferrari Dino, and there's been various track versions, but this is the first production Ferrari. The 296 GTB has 830 CV, which is 819 horsepower, which comes from 663 CV from the V6 engine and 167 horsepower from the electric motor. And the electric motor runs at the back, and it is a rear wheel drive car. This is not four wheel drive. It has no electric motor like the SF90 has. Let's have a look now at the front here at some of the cool features of the design. The front of the 296 GTB, there are some interesting aerodynamic traits. This front splitter here is designed to channel the air under the car to keep the air really clean, and it helps with the aerodynamics. But you'll also note on the top here by the lights, there are little air ducts. These air ducts send the air cooling through over the brakes, so the brakes stay cool. At the front of the car, you'd normally get lots of high pressure building up here, but these vents make sure that the high pressure is released and improves the handling and the aerodynamics of the car. And it's got an all new light design as well. This 296 GTB is 2,600 millimeters, which is 50 millimeters shorter than the SF90. So this is a shorter wheelbase car with a more compact packaging. The battery, which forms part of the hybrid system on this car, is actually located underneath the driver compartment, whereas on the SF90 it's located behind the seats. The technical requirements of this car has affected the design. Because this is the Assetto Fiorano pack, weight saving is a really important part of it. So this car has full carbon fiber wheels. So this helps it even more. These carbon ceramic discs, not only are they class leading in the performance, but they also reduce that mass over the front of the car. And that's the same with the carbon fiber wheels here. Because there's less sprung mass over this area of the car, it means when you turn into corners, it responds faster. You can see, obviously, this has a beautiful Ferrari shield. It looks amazing. At the side here, we have this wing over the top. This is used to clean the air. Everything on this car is focused towards aerodynamics, and this wing helps the air. It's got a V shape, like a fork, and the air comes in and it splits in two, and that means that it's able to control the aerodynamics of this car. And it comes over here and it helps to cool the hydraulic components at the back of the car. Now, we should talk about the engine. This car has a hot V, which means that the air from this car actually works in a different way to other Ferraris. So what happens is the air comes from the bottom here and it flows up to the top and out of there, whereas on other Ferraris it comes from the top and goes in and comes out the bottom. So it's a different aerodynamic profile to other Ferraris on this 296 GTB. Let's have a look at this engine and also have a look at the packaging on the back of this car. So this is the back of the 296 GTB. So if you come in to look at this engine, you'll see that it's really low down. And this V6 is the same engine as the SF90, except it's got 2 cylinders less. So it's packaged right down. You can probably see the red parts, which are the cylinder covers for the engine. What you can see right in front of you here is the exhaust. This is where the exhaust comes through from the engine, and so you've got the heat covers. You can also see the high voltage areas for the motor, which is what the orange wires are down there. And this car has a motor is mounted at the back. The gearbox on this car is very similar to the SF90 and the Ferrari Roma. You don't actually choose the gear when you touch the gear shift paddles. The car's computer figures out what's best for you, and when you change the gear, it automatically selects it, whether it's higher or lower, to be the most efficient. Now, what's interesting about this car is, obviously, like the SF90, it can be driven in electric mode only, and it can do 25 kilometers up to 85 miles an hour, which is really great. But that's different from also how the SF90 works, because with the SF90, there's a front motor which allows the car to be driven in reverse. This obviously has a reverse gear. The SF90 doesn't, but it also has the E mode, so it can be driven directly on the electric motor. Now, what happens when you need to kick the engine on? Well, the clutch stays open when the car is in electric mode, and then it closes when the engine turns on, and then it combines the power of the electric motor, which is 167 horsepower, with the power from the engine. So the back here, let's talk about the design. So this has got a DRS active aerodynamics, which help clear the air around the back of the car. And then underneath it, you see the exhaust. So this is a very different design for Ferrari exhaust being in the middle here. And that's because of the way the car's been designed, the powertrain, having the engine down really low with that hot V, And that hybrid system means that the most efficient and aerodynamic way with the best performance is out the rear directly. So that's why it's got that design. Obviously, being the Assetto Fiorano pack, we've got a full carbon fiber diffuser as well, which really helps clear the air. And as I mentioned before, the air comes from the vents at the top over the back here to cool the hybrid system, which exists at the back with its motor in that area. Right, let's have a look at the inside of the car now. Welcome to the inside of the 296 GTB. So let's just start the car up. Inside this car, it looks really beautiful. I just started the engine up. We've got these racing bucket seats behind me here, which is because this is the Assetto Fiorano model. It has that. We've got beautiful leather on the inside. We've got the passenger display down the side there. You can see these bucket seats here. This is very similar to the inside of the SF90 Stradale, but obviously this is the newest Ferrari that there is. This is a beautiful interior. This is the infotainment system on the 296 GTB. And as you can see, it's got a lot in common with the SF90 and the Roma. I can swipe through the menus in exactly the same way. Just like the SF90, it has a hybrid information on the side here. I continue going through to radio. And then we've also got the hybrid mode here with the charge, boost and fast charge. I don't actually remember seeing that on the SF90, so that might be a unique feature of the 296 GTB. Of course, the way this works is just like the other cars. You can tap on it and you can go into the menus, and I can go down here and I can go to settings and I can tap on settings and I can change the infotainment, and we can change the display settings to change the theme, and then change the center rev counters to Rosso, to Bianco, to Aluminio, to Nero, and then back to Giallo, which is my favorite. And this is very, very similar to the SF90. But that is how that works. This also has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, again, which will appear on the rev counter. This is the interior of the 296 GTB, and you can see this steering wheel. Just like the SF90, it has the capacitive touch buttons, which allows me to scroll through the various settings. The steering wheel has the Manettino, and I can swap through the various modes by hitting that. And this is the only hard button on the car, on the wheel, other than of course the lights. So this lets you swap between race, between sports, between wet, and then back to CT off, which is traction control. There's no bumpy road mode on this car, but on the standard cars, if you press down, it will go into the bumpy road mode. You've got your indicators on here and your light controls on the steering wheel. This car is amazing in the interior, and this steering wheel is beautiful with a carbon fiber. We also have the passenger display on this car, where you can see the performance information of the car, which replicates what the driver can see. Just like the SF90, it has a hybrid mode as well. And if I go back on here, then we can also see our audio and navigation and add waypoints if there is a destination set in the navigation. So that gives the passenger a lot of control inside this car. Hope you enjoyed this video on the amazing 296 GTB. Big thank you to Ferrari for letting us do this today. Please give the video a like if you enjoy it, and subscribe to see more on the channel.